Hi, I'm Robert Dilts,
And I'm Steve Gilligan.
and we want to say a few words about our upcoming program in Geneva with IAGC on generative leadership.
We are really looking forward to the program. I think this will probably be our fifth or sixth time.
That's right.
But each time Robert and I have presented separately, individually, and this time we're going to do it collaboratively.
That's right. Which I think says something about this program that we're going to be doing on generative leadership. And you know, I think in today's world, it becomes more and more obvious that leadership itself is one of the most important skills that are necessary, not only from executives and companies, but all through an organization. And for me, the essence of leadership is, when leadership is most necessary, is when you're going somewhere new. Right? If you're not going anywhere new, if you're doing something that you already know, management will do. Leadership becomes essential when you're trying to create something different, you're trying to go somewhere new. It's something that involves risk, it involves challenge, it involves uncertainty, and it involves creativity.
So what would a generative leader be then? Well, when we talk about generative, probably the closest word for it is creative. So what we'll be exploring with you is how to help people in terms of their leadership skills be able to develop what we call a generative state. We talk about that in terms of what the somatic intelligence, what the somatic presence is of a generative leader. How do you embody it? How do you speak it? How do you touch people with this nonverbal presence that opens a space of creativity? We talk about generative in terms of what we call the cognitive mind. What is the vision that you're bringing? How do you articulate that vision?
Exactly.
How do you speak the vision in a way that awakens and touches everybody in the community? And then finally, we talk about what we call the field mind, is that how do you, with your leadership, connect every part of that team in a sort of a musicality, if you will, so that the team is playing as a musical performance.
So we could say that, you know, this notion of a cognitive mind, that has to do with strategy, with planning, as Steve says, with vision. The somatic mind has to do with our emotional intelligence, our ability to motivate, but also to deal creatively with resistance, with interferences, and on other challenges. And this notion of a field mind has to do with our social cultural intelligence and our ability to utilize that as well as influence it. And I think one of the other really important principles that we'll be working with is this notion of whole-on, meaning that each individual is a whole made up of other wholes and is part of successively bigger wholes. An individual, a team, a division, an organization, a market, a community, etc.
So you've got, for example, Robert as a self-organizing whole, if you will. You've got me as a self-organizing whole. But at the same time, there is this deeper connection, this deeper collective, if you will, that when we can activate that, that's when magic happens.
We like to say that the generative principle there is 1 + 1 actually makes more than 2, it makes 3, and sometimes more.
So 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, etc., is really this sort of explosive creative outcome. So we think that you would agree, in these times, we need to create new organizations. We need to create new communities. The world will not survive if we continue as is, economically, professionally, culturally. So this particular topic of what it means to develop a leadership that really can be creative and transforming, it's really one of our most passionate topics.
And I think in addition to survival, it's also thriving. One of my favorite examples is a few years ago, I was doing a project with a company that had just experienced a big failure, and they were trying to understand what happened. They knew they had to make a new product. They were in a very competitive area. They literally put 1,000 people on this project. However, One of their competitors was able to beat them to the market. They had a better product. It was less expensive. So in every key performance indicator, they were outperformed. The most astonishing thing, the competitor did it with a team of 20 people. They were trying to understand, how can 20 people so completely outperform 1,000? The answer, generative leadership. How their groups were led. The group of 1,000 people was led in the old style, top down, people working in silos, you do your job, 1 + 1 = 2. The group of 20 people, they had an emotionally intelligent, generative leader who actually brought the individual leadership out of each person in that group of 20. And so one of my favorite definitions, having studied leadership in big companies and in startup companies and everything in between for 35 years, one of the most important definitions is that leadership is taking responsibility for the effectiveness of the whole system. And everybody in the team of 20 takes responsibility and becomes then a generative leader.
So we hope in a team of 2 to give you some example as well as a lot of possibilities about how that you could cultivate that in whatever context that you're working in. We're looking forward to the event. We always love working together. We've worked together for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you can see that this is, as Steve was saying, this is something that we're both passionate and enthusiastic about, and we're sure that we'll pass that on to you.
So we hope to see you at the event.
Please come and join us.
Bye for now.